Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, and I wanted to talk about my fascination with Star Trek communicators, because I've got a few, and I've got a bit of a problem. Now, you've seen the thumbnail and you know that this is actually about a very modern communicator, but to give this some context, I just thought I'd show you some, not all, of the communicators I have had over the years. I think these are my remaining ones. This one here, I don't even remember where I got it. It's from 1998. And it's pretty worn. This was, I think, one of the first ones I got that really looked and felt about right. Open it up. It's got that little sound effect there. The moire pattern thing here, you have to kind of jiggle it with your hand in order for it to do anything. But it sort of lights up and does a few bits and pieces. And it had a little clock there. And what was even cooler was it even popped open, pardon me, with a little calculator. So it was sort of a functional little communicator that was cute, but it was for the 90s. It was pretty cool. It was then surpassed by this one, which was actually at the back in Vegas. They used to have a Star Trek part of the Hilton, and it's got a little insignia right there. This one is dated, where's the date? I think it's the early 2000s. This one's not bad. It does a few more pieces. You can see the moire pattern actually moves on its own. It's got some sound effects. I can put it on some alerts here. So that's kind of neat. Problem with this one was twofold. One, the hinge would flap way too far back. So with a typical flip of the wrist, I didn't do it this time, but I'll try it again. Yeah. Of course, it's not going to do it on camera. I found that this thing would flip way too far back. So, and I don't like the very, very lengthy chirping noise. It's a little bit too long, so I'm not a fan of that. Then finally, the best one up until recently was this, which is the toy one from Playmates, I think it is. This one is dated 2007. This one's really good. This one's also got a motorized little moire pattern. This one's got some really nice features like sound effects.
Bridge, this is the captain.
And you can also do the red alert thing there.
Transport room. Ready to beam up.
Great stuff. This has probably been my favorite up until recently. Disadvantage of this one, the battery pack, putting this on the back, like there's two AAAs that lie in a little pattern here, and getting the back on it hasn't been easy. So, now it doesn't end there. I've actually got on my iPod Touch a Communicator app where we have a little, I don't know if, can you make out that the pattern is still swirling there? And with a flip of the wrist, it would actually open up, and much like the toy ones here, you can press some buttons.
Captain Kirk, message from Starfleet Command, top priority.
So, pretty cool. I really, really like this one. And I think you can slide down or something. There is a way to close it down again. There we go. So, got that app for my iPod Touch. And most recently on my phone, my lock screen is a Star Trek communicator. And I flip it up. I have a non-moving moire pattern for my background image. So that has been my Star Trek communicator fascination all this time. Yeah, so there you go. So phone does it, app does it, and I've got all these. Why? Well, because when I was a kid, the communicator really, really fascinated me. And I just thought to myself, I remember in the 90s, my friend and I, especially when Next Gen was so big, we contemplated, since we were big fans of the 60s version, could they ever make this thing into a cell phone? And generally speaking, the answer we came up with was, heck no. First of all, how would you ever dial? There's no, like, button thing here. Maybe that one where you can flip it open and there's like a calculator underneath that could maybe hold a dial pad so you can, do push buttons. But it just seemed impossible. There's no interface here to make this as a cell phone. And I've got a friend who worked on Star Trek The Next Generation, and I remember bouncing the idea past him, hey, what if somebody made a cell phone that was like the Star Trek Communicator? And my friend said, yeah, great idea, but do you know what the licensing cost would be? Like, you add that onto the regular charge of a cell phone, it's going to be out of anybody's reach. There's no way you're ever going to get this. Well, my friends, the future is now, because ThinkGeek have made this Bluetooth communicator. And I just thought to myself, wow, I never thought I would see this day come. Did ThinkGeek actually make this? I know they sell it. Just trying to see if there's any branding on it. The Wand Company, my mistake. It's actually from the Wand Company, but sold through ThinkGeek. And a lot of people have done videos about this thing, but I just thought, yeah, it's my turn. I had held back getting this thing for the longest time because I just thought it's rather expensive. Like, it was way beyond what I thought I would ever actually end up using it for. I've watched enough YouTube reviews online to see what this thing can do, and I thought, yeah, it's nice, and I'm very tempted, but it's just out of my price range for what I think I would actually use it for. So, alas, the answer is going to be no. However, then ThinkGeek had a sale, and they knocked this thing down to 99 bucks, and I thought, fine, I'm going to get it. I don't care. So, I have. Let's open it up and try it out and see if it is all that the young 90s version of myself had ever hoped for. What do we got in here? Ah, okay, it just comes in one big lump. We have some instructions. Okay, yeah. All of this stuff I will get to. Okay, just one set of instructions. And it's in one package. And it's even got a little, for those of us who are just that cool, it actually comes with a carrying device, basically a holster that I can sling onto my belt and actually carry my communicator around with me. So we'll be trying it out in that later. USS Enterprise Standard Issue Communicator. Sexy. Let's open this guy up. Oh, wait a minute. What does it say there? USS Enterprise 1701 Standard Issue Communicator. Man, it's heavy. Wow, I am really quite impressed at the heft of this thing. Let's open it up. Ooh, look at that! Wow. So this is the stand for it, which I will assemble in a moment. Yeah, so basically it acts as both a charging stand and just a nice little display for it. And here's another part of that stand. So that all... Yeah, I'll do that kind of a thing, and then you have something nice to place the communicator on. But let's check out the communicator itself here. Ooh, actually, it's surprisingly not that heavy. Most of the heft is in this case. Yeah, it's slimmer. I'm going to see here. So compared to the Playmates toy, you know what? It's about the same weight. Wow, I'm surprised. The Playmates toy is thicker, but yeah, that's actually really surprising. Okay, let's open it up. There we go. It's not charged right now. I'm going to do that in a second, but looks very nice. Nice pattern texture here. So there we go. Compared to the Playmates one, Playmates one's got a little more more texture to it. And this cheap plastic lid here is a deeper bronze. This is a nice metal one. Wow, that looks really nice. Cool. All right. So basically now all I got to do is this thing just sort of sits on here magnetically. As you can see, look at that. You can actually It just rests on there, and that's also the charging dock. So let's charge it up and make a few phone calls. Okay, so the communicator is all charged up and synced up with my phone, so we're good to go there. And I really like this charging stand that it comes with. It's got a nice heavy base. This just plugs into USB, and as I mentioned before, that just sits on there magnetically, so it makes a really nice little display unit. I think actually I'm probably going to leave it just on a table just like that. I don't know if leaving it with the magnetic part all the time might be good or bad for it in the long term, but regardless, really like the stand. Love that. That's great. Now, how does this thing work? Well, it's really good. I quite enjoy all the functionality of it. If you flip it open, it's actually got these sort of built-in sound effects. So if you push, this is a little joystick that can go in 4 directions or push in. This just goes in. If I say, like, you can play like you're actually talking to the crew of the Enterprise. You can do like,
Enterprise, Spock here.
Mr. Spock, I'll be beaming up in about 5 minutes.
Affirmative, Captain. Enterprise out.
And there's a whole range of 4 different things that Spock can say, depending on which way you push the joystick. And then there's also...
McCoy here.
And?
Scotty here, Captain.
And even...
Yes, Captain.
So you've got a variety, and there's other things you can do. I think it's like if you push this button in and press the little joystick to the right, and you hear that sound. Then when you close this, wait a second. So it's like a proper Star Trek toy version of the communicator, but as we all know, the reason I love this so much, it actually can make phone calls. Slight problem, it won't let you dial a number because, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have like a thing where you can start typing. But if you've got somebody in your contacts list on your phone, which I have, you can just press this button. It enables voice command, and then you can place a call. Let's do that right now.
Voice command.
Call D.
Calling D, mobile.
Hey,
Hey D, it's me.
are you still playing with that Star Trek Communicator?
Communication terminated.
Yes, that's how you would actually hang up the phone. So this is a really, really cool machine. In addition to that kind of functionality, I also like the fact that it has Siri/Google search functionality built in. So if I wanted to, I don't know, search the web or something, I could just do that with, again, using that voice command.
Voice command.
Who was the youngest captain of the Starship Enterprise?
Here's a summary from Sci-Fi Stack Exchange. One of the producers said that it was known that Kirk was the youngest person ever to become captain of a starship, and they were going to show us why.
There you go, you see. It's got other functionality like
Voice command.
read my last text.
You have one last text message. It's from D. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
It says, you aren't still playing around with that Star Trek Communicator, are you?
Well, okay,
Do you
so
want to reply,
there we go.
repeat it, or is that it for now?
That's it for now. Anyway.
Okay, thanks.
So that's really, really cool. I mean, I love this machine. It's a phone. It's a proper cellular telephone that is also a Star Trek communicator with like so much cool functionality in it. And one thing I will say I really like about this communicator as a, Google search functionality type personal assistant, what have you, is to use another piece of 60s tech. You may recall that I also have this, the Iris 9000, which is basically a HAL 9000. Can't get it to fit in the screen here. Well, we'll do it that way. That was what I was using for a lot of these purposes before, where I could get it to search for things and, answer questions for me. And it's really, really cool. But now, as great as that device is, I do find that if I'm turning it on and I haven't used it for a week or something, and I've got to use this button to sync and get it to wake up and that, even when it's in standby mode and it's good to go, there'll be moments where I'm like, hey, I want to ask it a quick question. I'll push the button and Hal, Siri, Iris, it's not very responsive. Like, it takes a moment to wake up. And I know that's sort of symptomatic of a lot of these little smart home devices. You think that they are listening to you constantly, but sometimes you have to wait a minute for them to wake up. This thing, that's not the case. I have a feeling because of my phone, when I did the synchronization, it actually, it turned it into this unlocked mode. Like when I first paired them up, I had an Android warning saying that your phone is now unlocked, and the way you sever that is you have to hit this little lock icon. Oh, there we go. So now the device will stay locked. But when it's not like that, in fact, let's see if we can just turn it back on here.
Voice command.
What's the weather tomorrow?
There'll be showers with a high of 20 degrees and a low of 11 degrees.
Okay, well, there we go. So it is still paired. And that's a really nice thing. It means that, like, I went away, I took this to work, and when I came back, I thought, I'm just going to flip open the communicator, and I'm going to see, is it still awake? Or do I have the same problem that Hal over there has, where I have to wait a minute and turn them on and try and get them to sync and all that kind of stuff. This was standing by constantly. Really, really like that. What else can I say about this thing other than it's a dream come true for me? I really love this. Negatives. Now, a couple of reviewers online were saying that it's a little quiet. I don't think that's true, but when I first made a test phone call, I was sort of holding the thing out kind of at arm's length like you see in the show, and I was talking to Dee, and she said she couldn't really hear me all that clearly, so I did have to, can't do it on the camera here, but I did have to hold it, closer, let's say about that distance from my mouth. So what is that, about 9 inches or so. More like, scenes where Kirk is kind of, more like a walkie-talkie. You don't hold it too much at arm's length, you hold it up to your face. So that's a thing. But yeah, no, other than that, the volume on this thing is fine. It's got great functionality. It's just super cool. I am really, really pleased. I was holding off on getting this thing because I just didn't think I was going to use it. But now that I've had it for a few attempts, a few trial things here and there, the fact that it's just awake all the time, I really, really love it. There's a really good review that's from a couple of years ago. Mr. Tom, oh, can't remember. I'll put it down below. He goes into great detail when this thing was first launched about how you would be expected to pay a couple $100 for just a decent reproduction of a Star Trek Communicator from the 60s. Never mind this phone functionality, just something that's not a hunk of plastic. And he's right. That's, I never thought this thing would be within an affordable range. Also, he did a lot of trial testing with it. He actually said he had it being used like a regular phone for a couple of days, I think, between charges. Like he said, it lasted a good long time. He was talking something like 6 hours on it before it actually needed a charge. That's very impressive as well. So it's a really, really nice communication device. It's also a really, really nice communicator. I love that. So, yeah, there we go. There is the Star Trek Communicator from the Wand Company, sold through ThinkGeek. I'm very glad this thing went on sale because I just didn't seem to wrap my head around the price. But for $99, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I love it. And I guess without further ado, I'll just say it's... We'll see you down the rabbit hole. I'd almost like to say beam me up, but I don't know. Does Scotty have that here?
Scotty here, Captain. I'll do what I can, sir.
Close enough. All right. As I say, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.